So I'm coming to you today from my office because we're going to talk about politics, and I just feel like you need to be sitting at a desk to talk about politics. But really, what I want to talk about is how politics affects real estate. So here is the thing to know, that politics, presidential elections specifically, create a phenomenon in the economic climate where people do not necessarily buy houses, make big purchases, book wedding venues, buy cruises. Like, people's spending kind of diminishes during election years. It's proven, it's studied, and it affects the real estate industry as well. And I'll tell you why it's like that, and then I'll tell you why it's an opportunity for you if you are considering a big purchase in any industry right now. Here's the brain science, and I could get super nerdy and get into all the details, but the reality is uncertainty breeds inaction. A human's most basic response to complete uncertainty is inaction. Now, on the best election year, it's a new potential leader, it could be new policies, there's a lot of uncertainty. In election years like we have had in the past, it is a lot of uncertainty and it's just a lot. And so when humans interact with uncertainty, they have a tendency to not act. They don't want to make decisions. You basically get brain fatigue. And it's interesting, in the studies with animals, when animals are faced with extreme uncertainty, they hoard. So they retreat and they hoard resources. So I'm sure you've experienced the toilet paper phenomenon or the milk phenomenon when it's winter and you're uncertain about if you're going to be able to leave your house tomorrow. Humans sometimes also have a tendency to retreat and hoard. And what that looks like in presidential election years is your capital, usually money. People think, ooh, I don't want to part with my money because I just don't know what's going to happen. And here's where it's really interesting. No matter who wins, sales pick up the next year. So the New York Times came out with a study in big metropolitan areas, so looking at Miami and New York and LA, and what they found was over 20 years, like 20 years of data, in the second half of an election year, sales in real estate specifically dipped anywhere from 2.5% to 5.5%. Then the year after that election, so end of the election year, then the next year, sales increased anywhere from 4.6 to 10.2%. So you see a spike happen right after the election. Now, we're talking about Nashville here. Why are we talking about Miami and LA and all that? Well, the Nashville Business Journal came out with the data for actual Nashville. What's the actual numbers in Nashville real estate? So in the past 8 election years, so let me think, what is that? 32? 8 times 3? I think that's 32. A big swath of time, 8 election years. Home sales increased the year after an election by 5%. So that means there are 5% more homes sell in the Middle Tennessee area. The prices increased by 7.5%. So we're talking about markets that were going up, markets that were going down. It seems to follow the election. I know that we're feeling that in our business right now. We hear a lot of people who are waiting for the election, and it doesn't matter who wins. They just need the certainty of who's in charge to get into action. So why does this matter to you? So what? Number one, it's just interesting. But number two, if you want to buy a big ticket item right now, you have about 3 weeks of no competition. Like, act when other people are not acting, and that gets you more inventory to choose from. Sometimes there's better prices. And if you can get over your inability to act in uncertainty, if you can get with somebody who can help you understand that you're making a good choice and get over some of that mental fatigue that the uncertainty creates, you have huge opportunities in the Nashville market. If you wait for 90 more days, you're talking about paying 5, 7, 10% more. We'll just have to see. But that's what happens to Nashville real estate in an election cycle. So take the opportunity you've got for the next few weeks before the election in November and get into action if you want to buy a house. If not, let's see what happens in the Nashville market this year.